me, a well-designed woodland garden is like walking through a life-size fairy garden. The cool colors of green are a nice relaxing place to just enjoy the fireflies throughout the evening. Now, a woodland garden may not be appropriate for every location in our state, but if you have a shady garden that has rich, moist soil, you might want to consider adding these 5 woodland plants.
Plant number 1.
Solomon seal is a great addition to a woodland garden with the nice cool shades of green that it provides. It has arching branches that are about 18 to 24 inches tall, and they individually come up out of the ground. Now from these branches you'll see a pair of white bell-shaped flowers that hang, and you'll notice these flowers starting to bloom not only by the look but also by the lily-like fragrance that they emit. Eventually these flowers turn into black colored berries that will hang from these branches. This is a great one for the woodland garden. This particular cultivar is called variegatum, and it's one that you'll often find on the market with these stripes of white or kind of a yellow marking through the leaves. Solomon seal is hardy from zones 3 to 8.
Plant number 2.
It's always easy to like a plant when it's first flushing out, but this plant, Bear's Britches, is one that I love because it has this lush green foliage throughout the season. It not only looks like this in early spring, but it will continue to look like this in August when a lot of our other landscape plants are starting to look a little more tattered. In fact, the foliage is so great on this plant, it is kind of known to be a model for what adorns the Greek and Roman Corinthian columns. Now, if I haven't convinced you of this plant just based off of the foliage alone, later on in spring, it will actually produce a 3 to 5 foot tall flowering spike that is covered with white flowers. Each flower is hooded with kind of a rose-colored petal that covers that white flower. It almost looks like a giant snapdragon. Being hardy from zones 7 to 10, it does like a little bit warmer climate, so if you are in northern Oklahoma, you want to allow this foliage to die back to provide kind of a natural mulch and protection throughout the winter time. You're then going to trim that foliage back in the spring, allowing this new growth to come back on. Bear's Britches is a great plant for any woodland garden.
Plant number 3.
You can't have a woodland garden without including some ferns. And this is the sensitive fern, and we enjoy this because of the great texture that it provides. Unlike some of the other plants we've mentioned, they provide flowers, but for ferns, we're just really looking for the color and the texture of these fern fronds. And these have big lobes in their leaves that you can see here. We call it sensitive fern, but it actually can be pretty aggressive and can get much taller in really moist conditions, especially near creeks and streams. So why is this plant called sensitive fern? Although it is winter hardy, the first frost that it experiences will set it back, as well as any other drought conditions that it might experience in the summertime.
Plant number 4.
Toad lily is another great woodland plant to add. It has an orchid-like flower, but it's actually in the lily family. It has a purple and white flower with little speckles all over it, and some say speckled like a toad. Now this plant will get to be about 2 to 3 feet tall, and what's nice about this plant is while some of your other woodland plants will start to shut down in late summer, that's when this just starts blooming. It's hardy in zones 4 through 8.
Plant number 5.
When we're talking about woodland plants, one of the last ones probably to come to mind would be an orchid. But here we have a hardy ground orchid, which is perfectly suited for a moist, rich, shady location. You can see it has these lovely cattleya-like flowers on it that come in pink, purple, and white. It also has these pleated-like leaves that are strappy. This orchid is hardy from zones 5 to 9, so it will return for you each season. Adding these 5 plants will add texture to your garden, the right amount of pop of color, and just those nice shades of green, turning your woodland garden into a fairy tale.
We hope you enjoyed this video. It's part of our Oklahoma Gardening YouTube channel. You can also find even more videos on our OK Gardening Classics YouTube channel. And join us on social media for great gardening tips, photos, and discussion.